Hi, I'm Manni Chopra and welcome to another episode of Passion for Property. And today's guest is a former Sainsbury worker, it's true, a secret maths teacher. He now owns a Bentley. And his strategy is arguably the best strategy for starting in property in 2025. None other than the king of short lease, Jason Patterson. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you for the invite, Manny.
Thanks for joining me today. So guys, where did it all start, Jason? You are now the king of short lease officially.
Yeah.
What was life like in the beginning when you started investing in property, or where did you start? How did it all begin?
Yeah, so I first started in 2001. At that time, I was working in Sainsbury's. So I was there just stacking bread. Actually, I started off in the water section. I'd done so well, but they put me in the bread out.
Promoted.
Yeah, promoted. Yeah, my own aisle. Putting out Hovis, Mr. Kipling pies, you know.
There was no 50-50 back then, was there?
No, that's it. So the whole aisle there. So I was there, just putting out the bread. But I said one day, you can't really do this for the rest of your life. And I still had the managers were being treated, because we used to have area managers that come in and regional managers came in. And then my current managers used to be like, oh, so-and-so's coming
Panicking,
in.
yeah.
Panicking, yeah. Detail, turn everything to the front. And then the way they used to get treated and the pay like they used to get, I thought, no, this is not for me. So no point in trying to go up the ranks. So I said at some point, I started to invest in property. That was in 2001, one-bedroom flat in top of North London in Enfield.
So that was that was the first investment property.
First investment one, yeah. I couldn't afford to buy the houses at the time because on my wages and in North London, houses were very expensive. So I said, if I'm going to start, I've got to start with flats.
Yeah.
A nice low entry point. And then I managed to get my first one, just vanilla buy-to-let, rent it out. Didn't know anything about adding value. Just wanted to replace my wages.
Yes.
And move out of mum's house because I still living at home as well. Because my wages by itself was not enough for me to move out of mum's house.
Right.
So I said, I've done a spreadsheet. I said, all right, about £50, £60 a month less if I was to move out and try and rent somewhere. So I said, no, what if I have a car and it breaks down? But if I want to go on holiday, no, it's too tight. So I needed to find some form of income coming in from somewhere else. So I either start a business, I'm going to property, or stocks and shares. Couldn't think of a business. Stocks and shares, wasn't too keen on it. Looked at it, but I thought it was a bit too tricky for me. So I thought, you know what, if I'm going to start, go into property, and then just started from there. So while I was in Sainsbury's, I managed to buy like 5 properties in total. So 4 buy-to-lets and then 1 rental. So my 4th one, I said, yeah, that was it. I got enough cash coming in to buy my own one after that. And then the 5th one, moved out of mum's house to live in, and then just started my career from
Brilliant.
there. Yeah.
So where does this maths teacher become in then?
Yeah, so basically I was in Sainsbury's in total for 11 years, and then maybe 7, 8 years in, basically someone asked me to do some tutoring for their daughters. So I said, you know what?
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, because that done it for like A-level as well. So started doing GCSE maths, helping them out. Now one of them has got a master's degree in, I can't remember what topic it is.
But some maths related.
Yeah. Says they done well. And the other one's got first class honours. They got better results than me.
You.
Yeah. So I treated them, and they referred me to other people just by chance. £10, £12 an hour to do tuition.
And tuition makes good money on the side,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So flexible hours, and I like maths. I mean, what happened is someone asked me to go and work for a private training provider part-time. Because back then, the government were giving money to the jobless people, but organisations. So
Right.
you had ECDL, that's the IT.
Yeah.
Then you had IBT, which was, again, the IT section of it. Then you had basic skills English, basic skills maths, and job seekers
Allowance
stuff. Yeah. And they paid for that for the job centre. Then they sent them to a private training provider. And then that private training provider, which was called, I think, 5E Limited at the time, I think the guy called Raj was looking after it. He got some people in, one to do English, one to do maths, one to do IT.
Right.
Get them retrained, unemployed, retrained, and get them back into work. So someone said to me, oh, I know someone that's like good at maths. So they got me in. I'm not a teacher or anything.
But
Yeah, but I know about maths, yeah. So I said, you know what? Let me just go and help them out. So my first lesson, I was scared. armpits were wet,
Yeah.
nervous. I was like, I'm not a teacher.
Yeah,
I'm-
exactly. You're not
I'm
a
in
qualified
train.
teacher.
Exactly. So, but it worked out well. I taught them fractions using apples and oranges and cutting them up, and then wow.
Started that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So I'd say arguably short lease strategy is definitely the new buy-to-let, I'd say, because buy-to-let as we knew it is definitely dead, right?
Yeah,
And we know why, because obviously the cost of buying it, the stamp duty, the compliance, everything about it, nothing works.
Yeah.
At once upon a time, it did work maybe up north, Midlands, what have you, but I think even there,
Yeah, it's a bit tight.
it's very tight. I mean, you still probably get 6-7% yields up north, but again, with if any rent arrears, it'll knock you back, and you're probably ground zero, right?
Exactly.
So short lease, arguably, is definitely that strategy. I think is that question where you get asked, "What if I'm starting out in property in 2025? What would you do?" I think the answer is short leases.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you can force appreciation as well. When individuals used to buy flats back in the day or houses, they used to wait for capital appreciation where it rises in value, and then take out that cash and then go again.
Yes.
But now you can't really
Rely
on
on
that.
it.
Yeah. So you need to force appreciation somehow,
Yes.
either by doing a refurb,
Yeah.
reconfiguration, like 1 bed to 2 bed, 2 bed to 3 bed,
Yeah.
and or find a flat with a short lease and then extend the lease.
Right. So let's start with the basics. So if I'm looking at a property and I'm thinking I want to do this strategy, what should I be looking for? Firstly, where and what should I be looking for? What's your deal?
Yeah, so basically with leasehold properties, if the lease is below 80 years,
Okay.
then that's classed as a short
lease.
Yeah. Now, not as many lenders will lend to you on the market, so you can either can get a mortgage on it, or use bridging, or like a hybrid product, which I'll go into in a minute. But look for a flat that's with a lease of below 80 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the lower the lease, the more it's going to cost to extend, but the more money you can make once you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from then, you need to get a surveyor involved. Basically, what I would do as well, contact the freeholder, asking for a lease extension quote if possible. Yeah. Or you can use online calculators like from Google.
Right.
Yeah. Lease extension calculators.
Yeah.
Then once that comes back, what I would do is confirm that price with your surveyor.
Surveyor. Yeah.
Just to confirm that the price is reasonable and so forth. Then that figure I'd put into my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So that will determine my purchase price.
Yes.
Because obviously you might have to do a little refurb with that as well.
Yes.
All depends. So I put them into the spreadsheet, and then at the end of it, if it's obviously making a minimum of like 15-20% upwards, then it's a goer.
Yeah.
If not, then you got to think about putting in a lower price than what your offer, than what you're thinking of here.
Yeah.
Because obviously you got to force appreciation.
Yes. So how would it work? So you get a surveyor, you get all your numbers done, as you just said, your end value, your cost of refurb, you put your offer in. At that point, you get a lender to give you the money for the deposit as well as the money to extend the lease.
No, the deposit, you've got to put down yourself. Yeah, just for argument's sake. Say it's for 150k, like a one-bedroom flat.
Yeah.
And then the end value of that flat is probably about 225, 230.
Yep.
Now the lease extension might cost about maybe 20 grand roughly.
Yeah.
So 150 plus the 20 grand, maybe like a 10 grand for a lat refurb. Yeah, but then at the end of it, you might make about close to 40k-ish.
Yeah.
Now that can be financed either by a mortgage, depending on how long the lease is. Say the lease is like 57 years left on it, right? Go to your broker.
Yeah.
She'll enter all the information in. Mine was a she, put all the information in, and the list of lenders will come out, which will lend on that particular property.
Right.
So if it's ex-local authority, it's above a shop, purpose built.
Yeah, all of those criteria.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you put down a minimum of 20 to 25% deposit. Yeah, because some lenders will allow you to put down
25%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or 20. But last one done was 20 with a lender. Yeah. So, and then they allowed me to extend the lease later rather than.
Oh, right. So you don't have to do it at the time of completion.
Yeah. So you can do that if you want to, or you can purchase and extend the lease simultaneously.
Yeah.
So when you get the keys, you've got a new lease on completion. And then if you are using a mortgage, then you have to wait a minimum of about 6 months before you can refinance and take out the uplift.
Yes.
But make sure your mortgage product has a section called additional secured borrowing.
Right.
Which will allow you to extract the cash after 6 months of owning the property.
Right. Additional
secured borrowing.
Secured borrowing.
Yeah. Sometimes they call it further advance.
Okay.
It's like TMW.
Yes.
The mortgage works. They'll class it as a further advance.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So make sure it has the clause, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That allows you to do that.
Exactly. If you want to recycle your cash and then put back towards your next deal and so on. Now, if you're using a bridge, then the minimum is for 3 months to be on that bridge.
Right.
So you might see a flat, say the same one for 150.
Yeah.
It's uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Like bad kitchen,
Yes.
bad bathroom,
Full refurb.
full refurb. Yeah, can't get a mortgage on it. So the lender will allow you to put down the minimum of like 25% deposit. And then, depending on what type of bridge you have,
Yeah.
you got to pay for lease extension yourself.
Yes.
Yeah? Or there are some lenders that will allow you to pay for, they'll pay for the
Purchase bridge.
Yeah, purchase bridge, yeah.
Development bridge for
Yeah,
the refurb.
exactly, yeah. So you don't have to, so basically you just put down your 20% or 25%.
And they do everything else.
Yeah. I mean, they'll lend on the end value of it,
Right.
which is good. So
Oh, because they know they're assuming that you can extend the lease.
exactly, yeah.
And how easy it is to get hold of for the freeholder.
It depends again. What I would do initially, if you're buying from auction, it's probably best to contact the freeholder or make some form of contact with them beforehand just to prove or show that they're not absent.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're buying on the open market, a lot of the time the agent will come back to you and tell you that the freeholder is there or not. Yeah. That's normally done. But if they're absent, then it's going to cause a bit of an issue because you might need to get a tracing agent involved.
Yeah.
I mean, a tracing agent will find out things like check the probate records.
Yeah.
Goes to the last known address of the individual. Put ads in the local paper for the next 6 to 9 months.
Also, it's a longer process.
Yeah. I mean, you got to prove that the freeholder is absent. And then when you prove that the freeholder is absent, then you can go to the tribunal.
Yeah.
And then the tribunal will allow you to either extend your lease or buy the freehold of that particular flat. But that can take
And who
ages.
do you have to pay for that then?
Basically, your legal team, you got to pay them, and then they'll use their tracing agent to find the freeholder, if possible.
But if, like you said, if it's absent, then who do you have to pay for the lease?
The court.
The court will take the money.
Yeah, the court will look after it, and then just in case one day, either one of the executors of the deceased, if they're deceased, or the actual freeholder comes back into the picture, then the court will give them the money.
Right. They keep it on an account or whatever. Like an escrow type thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That can happen. So, so if you're going to buy from auction, do as many checks as you can. Again, check the freeholders there. But you can move forward that way as well.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're going to get finance from it via an auction, the lender will want to have some form of documentation to say that you can extend the lease.
There is a freeholder basically, and how much a surveyor's report or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise, what it'll lend to you.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to pay for the lease extension, they need some form of like amount for the drawdown to make sure the figures stack. Otherwise, yeah.
Right. So what is your best short lease deal you've done so far? Like what does it look like? What did you do? And how much, I mean, if you don't mind me sharing some of the numbers.
Yeah, so basically it was a triple threat. What I call a triple threat is got a short lease, reconfigured it from a 1-bed to a 2-bed, and it needed a refurb as well. So them ones are called a triple threat. This one was above the shop, triple threat.
Okay.
So basically 3 ways of adding value.
Right, yeah. So you got it's a golden, 3 golden.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So basically it was above a shop. At the time, there was loads of them around. Nowadays, but not as many around.
Yeah.
But no one really wanted to buy this
above a shop.
Flat, yeah. Because when you walk into the side entrance, you can smell like urine and
it was in a bad way.
Bad way, yeah. So no one really wanted it. But I know that particular flat, as a 2-bed, we rent for the same price as a normal 2-bed.
Yeah.
You're buying it for a lot cheaper because it's above a shop. Now, when you're that one, I had to make sure that it wasn't above any food outlets because a lot of the time
you don't get mortgages for above restaurants and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time, it wasn't above.
Yeah, no. It's above a co-op. Yeah, so not too
Easy,
bad. And the KFC was like a couple doors down, so not too bad.
But nowadays, they would object to that.
Yeah, because
2 doors
too close.
Down. Yeah, too close.
Yeah. If it's like 3 or 4 floors down, it's not so bad. But if it's 1 or 2 doors down, then they're gonna say no because of the fire risk, like coming across.
Yeah,
can affect your one. So yeah, it was a 1-bed. A short lease. The community areas weren't looked after too much, and the service charge was quite high. So then I was like, nah, it's not for me. But I read basically the documentation. They were going to do a major works bill, and they had a nice sinking fund to renovate and do up the block.
Right.
So that changed the windows,
The freeholder did house you.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, but people just saw the first initial thing. So I thought, that's all right then. So they're going to modernize the block, which is good. And they had the money already from the current leases. So I bought it for like 150-ish or 146, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I got the freeholders' permission to convert it from a 1-bed to a 2-bed.
Right.
And could need that permission. It's called a consent.
Probably added another 20, 30 grand in value just straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because, you know what I mean? So
that's one extra bedroom. You know the cost of one extra bedroom in every area, roughly, right?
Yeah, price per square foot, that kind of thing. Has to be a minimum size of 6.51 if it's an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the kitchen, I moved into the front room.
Yeah.
And turned that old kitchen into a bedroom.
Bedroom.
Yeah. And then I extended the
Quite
lease.
straightforward, actually.
Yeah, straightforward. A lot of people don't like doing it or don't want to, what if a freeholder says
But the thing is, there wasn't probably that much education. You were actually, you took, at the time it was a risk, you know, obviously, everything in property can be a risk, and you took the risk and you got rewarded on it.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So is this what you look for in every single deal of yours? You look for the 3 different elements, or do you do deals without maybe one or the other?
Yeah, it's a mixture. So it depends what the agents and my contacts give me. So that one, obviously I offered it by my normal agent. You buy from them for like 16, 17 years. Whatever comes along, they just offer it to me. Some with a short lease and refurb and reconfiguration. Some just short lease only. Yeah. And some where it's a short lease and a light refurb. So it varies.
Yeah.
It varies, yeah. But that one, the end value was about 280 for a 2-bed. So I made a good amount of money off that. It's like 6 figures.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this is going back 10?
Yeah, about 10, 12 years ago. Yeah.
That was worth a lot more money back then as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In today's money, it's probably a lot more.
Yeah, because obviously appreciation.
Yeah. So what are you finding now? Because obviously when you started this strategy, you stumbled upon it, right? Because it wasn't that way. You went there, you went to some education course and they said, this is a great strategy, do this. You stumbled upon it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So how did you stumble upon it?
Yeah, so basically the credit crunch happened from 2007-ish onwards.
Yeah.
Like Northern Rock, people queuing to take the money at the bank.
Remember that.
They went under. You had Lehman Brothers went under. GMAC disappeared as well. Quite a few companies, Mortgage Express.
And the credit lines have stopped. Banks stopped lending.
Yeah, that's it. So basically what happened, at the time I had about 7 or 8, I think it was 8 or 9 actually, 8 or 9 with BM Solutions,
right?
Birmingham Midsize.
Yes.
And then they changed their lending criteria and their criteria. So you only allowed to have like 3 buy-to-lets with them.
Right.
But I had about 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah.
So they said, right, obviously you can stay with us, but you can't extract any equity. So I was like, oh. So I said, right then. I stayed in for a little bit. And then luckily, a lot of them changed. I was on fixed rates.
Yeah.
And then the mortgage rate started to come down.
It went to 0.01%.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
And I was, on this one, I was 0.99 above base rate.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the base rate was not even 1%, I think.
Yeah. So I was paying peanuts. The amount of cash flow I was making like, per deal.
Amazing.
It's great, yeah, exactly. But the only thing is I couldn't take out any money. That's because I had more than 3 buy-to-lets with them. So I said, you know what? 4 of them, I'm going to move from BM Solutions over to...
Another
one, TMW, which is the mortgage works, which is part of Nationwide. So 3 of them I did that. And then the 4th one, I go around with a surveyor. And then he said, this 4th one that you got, the lease is a bit low. It's I think it was like 72 years or something. Yeah. So they said, right, they won't allow me to take out the equity, what's in there, because the lease is close to 70 and their limit's 70. But he suggested to me what you should do, go to the freeholder, get the lease extended.
Right.
I mean, let TMW know this once it's done, and then ask them to release the rest of the funds.
Yeah.
Because it'd have a nice long lease. So I did that, went to the freeholder. This is a voluntary method, by the way. Yeah, so I wrote to the freeholder asking for a lease extension. And then, and also I put in their little cheeky, will you willing to tell me the freehold? Because it was a conversion flat.
Right.
They come back and gave me a quote for the freehold and for the lease.
So was it just your apartment in that block, or was there other?
Yeah, others, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
But they still would agree to it?
Yeah. So that allowed me to buy the freehold.
Oh, wow.
So that was good. So after I bought the freehold, I extended my own lease to 999 for a nil fee. Wow. Went back to TMW. I said, yep, I've extended the lease, also now the freeholder, and then they released the rest of the money into my account. So I said, you know what? From then, I started looking for flats with short leases. Yeah, because another way.
No brainer, right?
Yeah,
at that
no
point.
brainer. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't like leasehold because
Too much hassle, right? It's hassle.
Exactly, hassle, yeah.
Yeah.
Freeholder might give you some issues in relation
Yes.
to the lease extension.
There's quite a lot of little bits that you have to do, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
I mean, I know you're making it sound really easy, but someone who's coming into it, there's lots. But once you get the hang of it,
Yeah,
it's
straightforward.
kind of autopilot, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah, you got the ground rent to pay as well sometimes. And freeholders, sometimes they try and extortionate rates for the ground rent.
Yes.
But really, it should be around anything between 100 and 250 ish generally.
A
for the
year.
ground rent. Yeah, yeah.
A year, right?
Yeah. If you're outside of zone 1 and 2, yeah.
Yeah.
But so freeholders, they don't like the block management company service charges. Sometimes individuals don't like that as well.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for converted flats, a lot of them have just builders insurance only.
Yeah.
And there's not little or no service charge if you want to go that route, if you want to. But I've got a mixture, some in that purpose built, some ex-local authority. No tower blocks, by the way. Yeah.
Fire Safety Act, right?
Yeah. Because of like Grenfell. But yeah, but I just like flats.
But fortune favors the brave. I mean, this goes to show about your thought process, what you were going through, because what you were doing was kind of at the time quite sort of ahead of its game. Would you say that? Because I mean, did you attend any courses to tell you what to do, or
No, just no courses. Back then, when I first started, I think it was pre-Homes Under the Hammer.
right?
So Homes Under the Hammer started in 2003 with Martin and Lucy. And then Sarah Beanie, Property Ladder, started late 2001, I think it was.
Right.
But I started before that.
Yes.
So I was just reading books. Probably told you from before anyway. And Andreas Pagnotu.
Oh, you haven't told me which of the books were inspired you then?
No, I saw him on the internet. Like, he had about 8,000 flats. Yeah, so I thought he was just buying lots of flats. Yes. I was thinking, 8,000 flats.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Yeah, £600 a flat. That's like 4.8 million coming every month. So I thought, I'm gonna follow that same strategy, that same method of buying flats and have lots of littles, make a lot.
So do you have lots and lots of flats in different blocks, or are you now, since obviously becoming, very good at what you do, buying out apartments in the same kind of block? And what's your kind of strategy for this short lease?
Yeah. Some of them, it's all mainly in the north of London. And then there's some sections of, it's not really an estate, but it's a mini estate with like maybe 36 flats on there.
Right.
So I might own 9 or 10.
So you are kind of focusing on getting more in those estates where you've already got those properties, right?
Yeah. Because I know the freeholders, I know what service charge amounts, I know the maintenance,
exactly,
got management issues or anything like that, what the company is, not trying to inflate or anything, and the quality of their work and so forth. So I try and stick to certain locations. So it makes it easier, and for my tradesmen as well, because we want to do it systemized in a way. So if there's anything wrong with the plumbing or electrics or heating or the boiler, or if it's storage heaters, I've got people within that same area I can just send a WhatsApp message to and the address. They'll go around there, do the work, send me an invoice, and it need to leave my house. It's just systemized.
So what are you finding? Are you finding it still easy to find these deals out there? Or are you finding that you've told too many people now, everybody else is doing it, so there's none left for you?
Yeah. No, but left of it, on Rightmove and Zoopla, on the portals, there's not as many as before.
Seriously,
so I'm
right?
noticing, yeah. But the sources that I've got now, I'm getting them from like eviction solicitors.
Right.
Yeah. I'm getting them from lease extension surveyors.
You've got enough connections now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you got, how many surveyors are you using in your big power team? How many different surveyors have you got?
There's 2 main ones, but there's one good lease extension surveyor I like to use.
Yeah.
And he's part of a company, but it's his company, but he's got quite a few under his company.
Right.
Yeah, so anything to like party wall agreements or...
Yeah, so you get the leads directly through the surveyors now.
Yeah.
You don't really go on Rightmove, Zoopla and find them.
Exactly. But you can use property filter or Nimbus maps.
Yes.
Because on them, they got a lot of short leases on there as well.
Yes.
Almost for the entire country.
Yes.
So if you do want to do that, you can. And then it's good for analysing as well, like price per square foot, per square metre. And got analytics on there as well, so what you should be putting in as an offer. So that's good as well. Sometimes I get them from housing associations.
Right.
So the last one that I bought...
was it in a big block where they own like a whole block of...
Yeah, in this block, it's a private block, but the landlord was selling, sold to me now.
Yeah.
but he's moved to Spain. Been in the game for like 35 years or so. He said, "Oh, I've had enough of the UK taxes.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
out. Yeah,"
out.
and he's moved already. So his flat that he had was let via a housing association. And this housing association know that I buy short lease flats. So they contacted me.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh, one of our landlords are selling. We want to retain the tenant. Would you be interested in buying it?" So we went to kind of have a look at it. I said, "Yep, I'll buy it." It's a 68-year lease on there as well, so it wasn't too bad. I mean, but it's a private block, 6 in the block in total. So he's getting rid of his portfolio, so I'm buying it like bit by bit.
But he wants to eventually sell the whole block.
Yeah.
So like people who are like, starting out on a budget, they might not have the budget for Property Filter or Imbis or what have you, right? Could you still find these deals on the portals like Rightmove, Zoopla?
Yeah, still find them. There's quite a few available. On Rightmove, for example, I always put in longest on the market because a lot of the time they're the short lease flats.
Yeah.
Make sure you put a leasehold, obviously, and then the ones with the lowest price as well, because the ones with short leases are the ones which are below
Shorter
market
leases,
value.
yeah.
And also look for cash buyers only.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it says that, you're thinking, "Oh, I have to pay cash for it," but no, not always the case.
You got lenders, yeah?
Yeah, lenders.
So are there loads of lenders out there doing
Yeah,
this?
there's loads of lenders that will lend. Loads of lenders. There's a big list, like at your presentation.
Yes,
said,
you did, yeah.
Yeah, long list of lenders.
Just go to your broker, I'd say,
Yeah,
and they'll get you the right one, basically, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it's definitely possible. You can buy cash if you want to. I mean, after
If you have access to it.
Actually, yeah. A lot of people nowadays using like investor funds,
Yes.
or JV partnerships.
Yes.
And then they buy it cash, add value by extending the lease.
So you're not that time driven if you have investor money, right? Because
Exactly.
if you're needing mortgage, you need to do everything in one go.
Yeah.
Get the lease extended and get everything lined up, all your ducks in a row, and do it together. But if you have a private investor, you may be willing. But even then, I think you wouldn't take the risk, I guess. You'd really want to know who your freeholder is, get the surveyor's quote. So now, with this Leasehold and Reform, Leasehold Reform Act coming, what's happening in there? What are the changes? Is this still going to be a strategy, or is this going to be, because by default you should be able to extend your leases all to 999 years, right? In the new one. When is this becoming law? Do you know?
Yeah, so basically Michael Gove, the old conservative minister,
housing minister,
yeah, he pushed it through on the 24th of May 2024,
right?
And he got royal assent on that period as well. So basically, the ones that affect my strategy, are the 2-year rule. So basically, before you had to wait 2 years to extend the lease, using the section 42 method. So, but now that 2-year rule's been abolished, so you can buy the flat and extend the lease using the section 42 route from day one, rather than wait 2 years of ownership straight away. That's fueling the market a little bit. Like you mentioned, the 990. So if you serve a section 42 to the freeholder to extend your lease, you get 90 years with peppercorn ground rent, which means 0 ground rent. But now you should be getting 990 years rather than 90 years.
Yeah.
That is been put into the courts, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And then they want to abolish the marriage value, which makes it approaching 50% cheaper to extend your lease.
Right.
Yeah. But they're going to adjust what they call the deferment rate and the capitalization rate as well to compensate the freeholders a little bit. That one again is in court. Yeah. So the 990 and the marriage value gone to court. And then the other one.
So in their court, you mean someone suing the government for this? So basically, it doesn't go ahead, basically.
Correct, yeah.
But what are the chances? Do we know where we stand with it?
Yeah, they got some, basically in the British families, right? The British families, you got the Crown, and you got the Grosvenor Estate, and you got the Cadogans. The Cadogans and the Grosvenor Estate have taken, plus others, have taken the government to court.
Right.
Yeah, these are like billionaire families.
Yeah.
Not millionaire families, billionaire families. Taking the government to court to try and block elements of a Leasehold Reform Act from being action. Being law.
Because they would lose a lot of money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Half the assets, because they got a lot of freeholds in like Kensington, Knightsbridge, Mayfair, Belgravia. So they're trying to block it. So the first hearing was in January 2025, and the next one is in July 2025.
Right. So not long now.
Yeah, next month. Yeah. So they're gonna, if for example, the government or the billionaires win or lose.
Yeah.
What they're saying is they're gonna appeal. So whoever loses is gonna appeal.
They're still. So it's not. It's like quite a long way. We don't know. But
Yeah, it could be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Right. So what do you recommend for people? So like, for example, I've got a flat which I've owned since 1998, but it's now coming up to 60 years or something, probably less even slightly. Shall I just go ahead or wait for another 3 years?
Yeah, no, I'd do it. I'd do it now.
Do it?
Because, because you don't know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen?
And it might even go through. Yeah, because if the billionaires win,
then you're still going to have to pay more.
Yeah.
And you'll have a lesser term lease, so you'll have to pay more anyway.
Yeah,
so just get it done, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because no one knows. Especially with these like billionaires, they got a lot of
money,
power and weight, almost like unlimited cash.
Yeah.
In that sense.
And if they have their way.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it depends, because if you're in the fighting the Labour government who are very pro this act, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's a mixture of a bit of aristocracy as well.
Yes.
Got the Duke of Westminster, and then you got some of the
power versus, money power versus the government power. We'll see what happens, right? But I think the key thing is get these done. But, there could be this very small opportunity left in this space, maybe another 2 years, 3 years, depends.
Yeah.
But if, say, for example, let's assume that they lose, the aristocrats, what have you, lose, and it becomes law, then what does it mean for the short lease strategy?
It means you can make a bit more profit out of it, I reckon. Because basically, say the lease extension costs 50 grand to extend.
Yeah.
And the marriage value gets abolished.
Yeah.
And you got to pay 25 grand to extend your lease now rather than 50 grand.
Right.
That means the 25 grand can go towards your profit.
Yeah.
And you're making more profit.
Right.
Yeah?
So people would, it's more valuable to go,
Yeah. So it should be like a bigger rush in relation to
get securing these deals.
Yeah. So there'll probably be less of them on the market, I reckon. But and then in the long term, if it's the 990 goes through as well, the flats will be more valuable.
Yeah.
Could be more like a virtual freehold in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than having at the lease, because obviously houses are more valuable than
flats, right? Yeah. That's the other thing why this strategy is so important, is because flats at the moment are going through a bit of a, undervaluation, I would say, because we know, because I've done a few projects recently where we've converted bank buildings and commercial buildings into apartments. Yeah. And what we're finding is, you do the best, you do all the building control, everything is so expensive now. You convert them into flats and then the flats get devalued.
Yeah.
Because flats are generally, 10, 15% less than the price per square foot for houses.
Exactly.
Especially if it's above a shop or if it's above a commercial building, then they get devalued even more, as you know.
True. Yeah.
So I think, it's very important, I think. But so what's the future for you then? Are you going to still continue doing the same, or? Yeah,
I'll probably still do some more of this, buying freeholds as well. I might even do a little bit of commercial to resi, we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, because you can buy a bunch of them, buy the freeholds. I'm buying freeholds now anyway.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, obviously, the uppers have flats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just convert the flats and the bedrooms to them as well.
Yeah.
Or there might be rooms up there at the moment, and then you're converting those rooms into actual 1 and 2 bed flats as well. And then I got one actually, where I got 2 more than one actually. But the one I've done recently, I bought a short lease flat. I bought the freehold to it.
Yeah.
Now it's got a decent sized garden, which the tenants don't really use. So I spoke to my developer friends, and then they said I can probably put 2 single units on there.
Yeah.
At worst.
Detached ones?
Probably
or extended?
Semi.
So yeah,
2 semis, but flats, rather than houses. I might get lucky and I can put a house on there, because across the road there's put a house on there.
Right, in the garden.
In the garden.
So is it quite a long garden?
Yeah, it's quite big. Yeah. And
so you'll be doing it at the end of the garden.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. No, actually, the way it is it's a masonette, and the garden's to the side, so the side axis kind of thing. So there's still a little of the garden left.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the rest of it, like you said, towards the back of the garden.
Yeah.
And then at the back of the garden, you've also got 3 parking spaces. Now, I'm the freeholder, which I bought a freehold. I own those parking spaces.
Right.
Again, it's a corner plot. The council have been on to me because some people have fly tips on it. So that's fenced off now. So I'm thinking, right, I might even build on there as well. Could be my first ground up development. But I haven't started anything yet, but it's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I spoke to my developer friends. You can definitely get 2 semis on there as well. So in theory, best case scenario, pair of semis, worst case scenario, pair of semis, houses, and then a pair of semis, flats. Yeah, but I'll see if I'm gonna go.
There seems to be potential there.
Yeah.
But I think, what I find is, because I was like, I really admire the fact that you had a strategy, you stuck to it, and you did that. And sometimes when I look at my own portfolio, started out with HMOs because I wanted cash flow and I wanted to get myself out of a job, and continued that for a while. But then I diversified into new builds and everything else. And I was thinking, if I had to do it my way again, I would definitely probably just either stick at HMOs and do more of those, although I'll be having loads more tenants now. So do you think that, what is it that in your sort of journey up until now you would have done differently?
Yeah, no, it's right what you're saying. Try and stick to one strategy initially, try and master it. And then once you've mastered that, then you can maybe move on to other areas, where it's another level above that. My initial goal was to do flats, then buy houses, then get into development after that. But obviously, these things like...
You just continue doing short leases, right?
Yeah. So
I mean, it's a great thing. Why wouldn't you, right?
That's it, yeah. So try and master one strategy before you move on to something else, whether it's commercial to resi or ground up developments. Yeah, because some people have a passion for... That's the long-term goal. Ground up developments, but some people are like, you know what, I got to start with something, whether it's HMOs or flats or houses or refurbs. My long-term goal is to get to there. So what I'd say is stick to one strategy first, master it before you start diverging into other areas.
Yeah, I agree. And what is your long-term goal? I mean, you've achieved a lot. You've been investing over 22 years or more. And, you've got to a place where I think, you've got your Bentley, you've got your family now. And so what's next for you? Because, what are you still inspired? Because, property right now is quite tough. Apart from the short lease strategy, everything else is getting tougher. Building regs is getting tougher. Construction costs are, going up. Compliance in every way, shape or form. Now, in terms of going back to compliance then, how do you manage your tenants? Because you've got a lot of flats with loads of tenants.
Yeah.
Who are your tenants?
No, I'm not, you know what? I got a mixture actually. When I first started, even now, I got a lot of single mums in mind. Yeah, with young children or a baby.
Yeah.
Even recently, I got a new person in. Initially, I was like, no, it's not a good idea because they might have parties and wreck the place. No.
Dedicated mums.
Yeah, look after the place.
Yes.
Now and again, when I put round there, like to just double check something, their partner might be smoking like weed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I had to tell the person, look, the baby in the house.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, like if you're gonna smoke outside, you can't really stop it.
Yeah.
So just advise them.
Yeah.
But a lot of mine are single mums, with young children. I got a couple actually old boys, Tottenham fans on on Universal Credit, but he's been on that for a long time because he had like some illnesses. There's a couple of them which had some illnesses, but they've been fine as well.
But these are all private tenants, right?
Yeah.
But you also mentioned you're doing a lot with social housing.
Yeah.
So how did you stumble upon that? How did you find your connections?
When I was working full time, I didn't want to be able to. They didn't want to go out, and then sorry. Didn't have let's see,
So you don't want to manage the tenants.
Yeah,
you don't want to manage the tenants. Yes.
Because I had
and you didn't have the time to manage the tenants.
Yeah, that's
right?
it. Because I'd work, so the heating's gone or the boiler's gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought, you know what? Let me just give it to a housing association. I mean, they can look after it for you.
Right.
You get less money per month, and then wear and tear may look after as well. But long term, if anything goes wrong, they send out their people.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I think in the end, in the long run, you definitely come out positive in terms of cash flow, because the amount of voids you may have had, time that you need to actually keep it fully occupied, maintenance, repairs on your time as well.
Exactly.
Especially if you had a full-time job back then.
Yeah.
And so is that what you've been continuing to do then?
The majority, yeah. Housing associations, councils, under the guarantee rent scheme, the proper guarantee rent schemes.
Right.
And then that came into full effect during COVID. That was a real test when some people went on furlough.
Yeah.
Some lost their jobs because they couldn't work from home.
Yes.
Some went on universal credit. Like there was no issues. So I still got paid every day of the month, every particular day of the month without fail.
So the rent guaranteed scheme is with the councils or is it with private service accommodation providers and what?
Yeah, I got a mixture. So you got housing associations, some with the councils, and with a private estate agent that I use.
Yes.
Since 2000 and I'm not too sure. 30 was it 13?
13?
Yeah, something like
But
that.
long
13,
time ago,
14,
basically.
Yeah.
And this is an estate agent who gives you, letting agent gives you guaranteed rent.
Yeah. And they do it under, they have private tenants in there rather than social housing tenants.
Right.
But like I said, the true test was during COVID to see if this system fully
Works.
Yeah, and then all of them flourished. So I was happy that I chosen the right vehicles. Otherwise, because I know some people don't guarantee rent, but it's not proper guaranteed rent.
Yeah.
I mean, some estate agents will take their money, and run off or whatever.
Yeah.
But these ones worked well because I liked the less hassle, like the freedom of time.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than being hands-on. That's why I like to obviously give it to them and then have nice cash flow coming in.
So with your private tenants, then do you manage them yourself?
There's a couple that I do, yeah, but not that many.
So you're kind of keeping that to a minimum.
Yeah. So only because I've got the trades in place. Like I said, I've got the plumber, electrician.
Yes. Maintenance team.
Yeah, maintenance team, yeah, handyman. So if anything goes wrong, I say, that the heating went the other day, or the other day there's a leak. The woman downstairs contacted my tenant, who then contacted me to say, there's a leak coming from one of the flats upstairs. It might be your one or might be the flat above. So I had to get my plumber around there to have a look, took off the bath panel, checked behind it, everything else, checked behind the toilet. But what happened was the sealant along the bath from the flat above had come off.
And that's why.
Yeah. They're having a shower, went down the side, went down past my flat into the flat below.
So it's all these things that, is so stressful. What I really love about the short lease strategy is so flexible, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can have multiple exit strategies. So in your case, you kept them because you wanted long-term cash flow, you wanted capital appreciation, what have you. And but you can even flip, right?
Yeah, you can flip, yeah. So like I said, if you're going to pay cash, great. You can buy it, extend the lease, and then after that,
6 months later or whatever, however long it takes. Yeah. How long does it take actually, just out of interest, to extend this lease? How long is the paperwork exercise?
Yeah, so basically, if you're going to buy it on open market, for example, and you're going to extend the lease after you get the keys, then the longest part is the negotiation part of it. So best case scenario, within 3 to 4 weeks between yourself and the freeholder, you can agree a premium.
Right.
And then once you agree a premium with the freeholder, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
And then it's done. So in theory, within the first 3 months of you buying that flat, you can either flip it on afterwards or get off your bridge and go into a normal buy-to-let mortgage or sit it on. Yeah.
There's strategies, right? You can flip it, but I think what I really like about the strategies, let's say if someone's starting out today, and I go back to the same point, they could flip maybe, because they don't want, let's say someone who doesn't want to work with tenants, don't want anything to do with the renters' rights bill or the stress that comes with it. They could easily, with just maybe, let's say, just do one deal in their first year. It takes them time. They do one deal in the first year, make maybe 25, 30 grand on average.
Yeah, minimum, depending on the size of what.
So that's 30 grand profit.
Yeah.
And then let's say in year 2, they become more confident and they know the process and whatever, they do 2 deals. You're still doing it quite slowly and steadily. Yeah. By the end of the year 2, you've almost made 100 grand.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's more than some people's wages.
Yeah. And you'd be slogging from 9 to 5 for 2 years and you still wouldn't be making that sort of money, right?
Yeah. Now it's paper exercise. It's easy money.
It's paper exercise, absolutely. That's the other thing. You could be doing this while you've got a full-time job.
Exactly.
That's the other thing with it as well.
Yeah.
And now with this new Section 42 rule that the government has introduced where you don't need to own it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in the previous model, before the Section 22, you had to get the seller to
serve on your
to
behalf.
serve the Section 22. So that was a condition, presumably, of the sale.
Yeah. And then you finish off after you get the keys. And then now and again, depending on the speed, you can also do a simultaneous purchase and lease extension. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wasn't that possible before?
No, it was. Yeah. Sometimes what happens is, like on the viewing, for example, I spoke to the vendor, she was there, and then she had a letter from the freeholder with the quote on it already, right there. So I said, like 20 grand, 18 grand really, but I said, 20 grand, I expected about 20 grandish. Now, when you look at that, you're thinking, right, the freeholder is not trying to inflate the price or fleece you. So I was happy with that. So with that particular one, I purchased and extended the lease simultaneously using the voluntary method.
Right.
Yeah. So on completion, I got a new lease and the keys straight away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
How did it happen so quickly then?
Yeah, because it takes about 6 to 8 weeks. If you're happy, once you agree a premium, I say about 6 to 8 weeks, it's done. Because with flats, because you got the block management pack to come back with the freeholder pack to come back, takes about anything between 2 to 3 months as a minimum to complete on a flat. So in that time, that's enough time for you to extend the lease straight away.
Yeah.
So if you got a premium agreed with the freeholder straight away, your conveyancer can just finish off the process in 6 to 8 weeks and it's done.
So this surveyor who's working for you, is he looking at is it just like a formula basically? Is it? They just have to use a formula and work out the lease extension cost.
Yeah.
So it's not like the management freehold company will say this is like, say the cost of extending is 20 grand, but the surveyor thinks it's 10 grand. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, there is some disparity between the two because one formula, like you said, but it's different variables in the formula.
Right.
So it's the current value, the end value with a good lease, you've got the deferment rate, got the capitalization rate,
Right.
you've got the ground rent.
And those could be different. The freeholder looks at it from a different aspect or different points or whatever.
Yeah, especially the end value. But the surveyor's got one formula, and then that's it. So the surveyor on their side and the surveyor on my side.
Right, and they then liaise with each other.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so sometimes there's, like I said, they negotiate. You might come in at 30 grand, they might come in at 22 grand.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah.
And then you meet in the middle, like say 25.
Right. So surveyors will do all that negotiation for you, but he'll keep you informed at all stages. Say, look, this is what they're coming in with. I think it's worth this. Therefore, let's try and maybe meet
in the middle. Yeah.
In the middle, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what generally happens then? You meet in the middle?
Yeah. I mean, if you can't agree a premium after 6 months and you serve the section 42, then if you go to a tribunal,
Yeah.
I mean, the tribunal will decide what you pay for it based on the surveyor's reports.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the worst
And
case
they'll look
scenario.
at both the surveyor's reports, presumably,
both
and
of them,
they'll make a decision.
Yeah, basically.
Have you ever had to go to tribunal?
Luckily, no. My surveyor is quite good. So he negotiated a price down for me on many occasions.
Right.
But he's been doing it for like 30
That's all he does. This is his every single
Yeah.
day. That's what he does.
done like 15,000 plus cases. And he works for clients like myself, and he also works for freeholders.
Right.
So a lot of the freeholders in and around the southeast, he knows already.
Yeah.
So for example, if I go to him and say, which freeholders give me this amount, so I know them. So he knows them already.
Yeah.
So that's good for me in that sense. He would just speak to them and say, look, I'm the surveyor working on behalf of Jason. This is what it should be. I mean, they'll come down in price. So it's good to have that experienced person there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So looking back again, what was the deal that got away? There must have been something. There must be some deals where you thought, wow, if only I did this, looking back. Was there anything like that you feel you missed out on?
There's a
Like a
few
really big deal?
There's a few that were above shops. Because initially, up until 2007, 2008, I didn't really like to buy above shops. But now looking back, because basically you buy them for a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the rent is the same as a normal one bed.
Yeah.
A normal
Exactly, in the area, yeah.
Yeah. So I turn them down. Every time the agent come up to me, I got a flat above a shop. I said, nah, it's not for me. It's not for me. But I could have converted it.
Yeah.
Got the same amount of rent.
And it made it from a 1 to 2 bed, possibly in some of them as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. So
So there were a few that got away.
I missed out. And now there's not as many because more people are doing commercial to resi, so they're buying the whole unit or that kind of thing. But people more clued up. But back then, I was like, nah, not doing it. But
So what drives you? Because, like you said, you've been there, done it, you've got the T-shirt. What drives you?
Nowadays, I do a lot of, say, courses and mentorship.
Oh, you're teaching people now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably a new purpose because after a while, like you said, it's just the same thing over and over again.
It's not motivating enough, right? I mean,
exactly.
without sounding, that blasé about it.
It's mundane, it's the same thing over and over again. So I thought, you know what, let me just start teaching the courses, like short lease course.
The youngsters.
Mentorship program, 1 hour Zooms, do analysis for anyone that needs help.
Right.
And speaking engagements.
Yes.
Yeah.
So enjoy getting out there. You love.
Yeah. Just sharing the good word of short leases.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, could need some form of purpose, or otherwise.
Like you said, right?
Yeah.
So, I know my vision, I've always thought about, what drives me, as you said, not that I've done thousands of deals, but I've done quite a few deals. And you think, is it exciting again? As exciting as it was like on your first 5 deals or whatever. But I think the sense of purpose is so important, right? For me, I think this vision that I've always had to sort of My vision is to help 1 million people in my lifetime with, again, learning how to do property on the side, just as a secondary income, you know? They don't have to give up their day job if they don't want to, or they can get themselves out of a day job by doing this. So I think having that purpose, right?
Exactly.
So do you have like this vision of helping people?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that, because same with what you said as well, because I started off like working full time, and then I wanted to become financially free and then enjoy and have and create the freedom of time.
Yes.
So I thought, you know what, it's good that I started doing some mentoring and doing the courses and stuff to help, exactly what you said, individuals that are not liking their job and they want to escape, or at least have more income on the side.
For their lifestyle, right?
Exactly,
so they have choices and to make, you know, they can make choices in their lifestyle, right?
Exactly,
That's how we all got. I mean, you got yourself out of Sainsbury.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I got myself off an IT job as well.
Yeah.
And we've done it all. But I think, you know, fortune favors the brave, as they say, right? And I think you know, looking back, you might think, oh, you just did this, but you did take risks, and you took, you know, what was going on in your head at the time?
Yeah, I just wanted to leave my job.
That was it. You were motivated.
Yeah.
Done this. I don't want to stack any more water bottles or bread or anything.
Exactly.
And I'm out of here, yeah?
Yeah, because sometimes, like I said, with the car that I bought, I walked down central London, and when you walk down Mayfair, it just oozes money and
right?
wealth. You're thinking, how do these people get to this kind of level? Like, what do they do?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to get there? So I started to devise a plan, and that's where the flats and the short leases come in. So eventually I was able to go down to Jack Barkley Mayfair, buy my car down there after like manifesting like for years and years and years.
So do you believe in manifesting?
Yeah, you got to have a dream board, or whether it's on your phone or actual board.
Yeah.
Put what you want on there. So some of my things, it obviously adds to and changes throughout the years.
Yeah.
But one of them was like to have a holiday every 90 days.
Are you actually doing this now?
Yeah. Every 90 days I'm gone. Got my dream car, got a decent house, got the freedom of time as well. And then,
freedom of location, so you could work, you could be on holiday, but if you need to do half an hour work, you could do it from anywhere, right?
Yeah. Dubai, Jamaica, anywhere. So you got the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and let's live comfortably. There's no need to worry about being put in the redundancy pot or furlough.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
anything like that,
So obviously your family must have been so inspired by what you've achieved. Have there been other people that you've inspired in your family, or have they had the courage to do what you've done?
Yeah, my brother, he's doing all right. He's buying up in Doncaster.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So when did he start?
You started. Basically, what happened is I gave him, with Christmas presents, I like to give out productive Christmas presents rather than
just like money
socks
or
and
like
pajamas and pants, underwear. That's it. So I used to buy my family books for Christmas, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the Warren Buffett ones, Felix, that Purple Cow. Give them books, and then why you giving me books for Christmas for? Yeah. But eventually, they were like,
something went in.
Yeah, something. Someone mentioned something. Said, you know what? The book that you bought me like 3 years ago, I've actually read it. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's like my mind's opened up now. Yeah. So I give them, plant the seed, and it's up to the individual when they're ready, when the time's right. Then they'll start to go down this particular journey. So he started it now. So he's buying stuff up in Doncaster.
He hasn't got his Bentley yet.
Yeah, no, yet. But houses and stuff.
But how long did it take him? Because obviously they must have seen you progress from stacking shelves, and now you've got this amazing lifestyle. Yeah. When did it click?
I think with him, I think he saw my bank account once. He went around my house, saw my bank account. He's like, and then he's like, you know what? I've got to start this now.
Oh my God.
Went home, read the book, and then his eye was just, his mindset just changed.
Amazing. Yeah. So now what is he doing? Short leases?
No, houses. You're buying houses.
Oh, right. And what, HMOs or?
Roomlets as well. There's a bit of roomlets, yeah. Because in Doncaster, I think they're building or opening a new airport. Right. As well, so that's a good location.
For internal airport or international?
I'm not sure. All I know is the airport.
But it's going to be more connections, right? More connections and obviously job opportunities. People want to stay somewhere. Yeah. So short-term lets as well? Yeah,
short-term lets probably, And there's like a good area and the regeneration as well.
Yeah, and you're buying cheap. So it's a great place for people to start with a smaller capital outlay and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So it's about 3 hours-ish away, but it's worth it. Just set it up. And once you set it up, you give it to the agent, and the agents to just obviously manage it for you.
And other people in the family?
Yes, I've given out a few, but it's up to them now. I've planted the seeds.
Absolutely, right? You can't take the whole, What is it? You can take the horse to the water, but you can't.
Force them to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got the philosophy where it's like you reach one, teach one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try and tell people.
So reach one goal.
Yep.
And then
they can pass the information on to someone else.
Right.
And they can hopefully start their journey. Because back in the day, there wasn't really anyone for me to go to. But when I got to my second, third, and fourth one, there was a guy called AJ. I remember speaking to him, my old mortgage broker.
Right.
He had retired for the fourth time. Yeah, I bought my first one, and then went into the estate agent on the Hertford Road, Enfield, and he just like, I said, I'd like to buy 3 properties, please. Then he looked at me and he's like, Jason, how old are you? So he said, right, I'm going to show you some things. So he showed me about like BRR. Before I was just buying it and renting it out. I didn't know about refurbing
but
it.
That was good in those days. Yield was great.
Exactly.
Cash flow was good, right?
Yeah. We had like a nice Mercedes outside. I was like, whoa,
what are you doing here, Jay?
Exactly, yeah. So he just talked to me about it, gave me a little bit of guidance on what to do. But when he said that he retired for the 4th time, he's like, I'm getting bored of come back out of retirement again. I said, I like to be like you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So have an option of working for fun rather than out of necessity.
Yeah.
So he showed me the ropes a little bit, and then from then he just said, you know what I've taught you now, in the future, just pass on the knowledge and share it on with someone else.
Yeah.
So that's where the reach one, teach one strategy came in.
Right.
Yeah. So just pass on the knowledge to someone else, and hopefully that person will pass it on to someone else, and so on.
Somebody somewhere will learn, benefit from it, and hopefully live the lifestyle that they want to live,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
No, it's great.
So
and you are definitely inspiring. I love the fact that you just make it look really easy. But, as you said, it's practice. You've been doing it for many, many years. But I think, honestly, personally, when I got inspired by you when you spoke at the Titans event, and I started looking at short leases deals. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things, that's kind of things investors who've done commercial to resi or development think it's too small. But I think if you can make 100 grand by doing 3 deals a year,
exactly,
it's no small money.
Exactly, yeah. And you can even go into central London if you want to. So you don't have to stick with like zone 3, 4, 5. If you go into zone 1 and zone 2, flats in Mayfair, Belgravia, Chelsea, Fulham, Hyde Park.
Do you find a lot of those in those zones?
There was, up until lockdown, 2019, 2020. And then 2021, 2022, we started to be less of them. I think people are clocked on.
So you reckon people have extended the leases?
Yeah. When you look at the flats now, a lot of them have 999 already or 990. So a lot of them are doing it already in central London. So before that, there was loads.
And also, this is a perfect time for that, if you can find them.
Yeah.
Because central London prices are dropping versus compared to the rest of the country where prices are going up, actually. So this would be perfect time for that. Actually.
Yeah, because like I said, down there you can make a lot more money, 6 figures of one deal. The freeholders are a bit more clued up in that sense, because a lot of them are either like big company, like the Cadogans,
Cadogans,
Grosvenor Estates, etc. But if you got a good legal team behind you, then you can make good money out of it. You can either flip it or rent it out. And if a freeholder allows it, you can do SA as well down there.
Yeah, there's options, right? 90 days SA.
Exactly.
There's options anyway, right?
Yeah.
So this has been a really amazing sort of, I think, a podcast. I think you've shared your journey and you've sort of, very transparent. It's what I really like about you. You're sort of, don't hold back. You're always sharing all the information that people need to know. So what's the one thing, if I could say, you would be able to tell someone who's, thinking of starting out in property now and kind of looking at all the negative hype around us, renters' rights bill, labour's different rules and compliance and the cost of everything. What is the one tip you would give to someone starting out in property? How would you inspire them?
Yeah, don't be put off by all the legislation. Yeah, you can still do well. If you have a lack of cash, then maybe start off with something like maybe a rent-to-rent or a bit of deal sourcing, or do a JV with someone if you can. Just get your foot in the door, and then just obviously start growing from there. So whether it be buying flats or houses, flats within southeast or houses up north, which are a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Just start from there. So don't be put off by it. You can still make a living out of it. And maybe for the tax purposes or for protection, maybe buy it in a limited company potentially. And that way you pay a little bit more tax and you keep the income a bit more for yourself so you can grow faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't be put off by it. Just obviously move forward. Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, I think where you mentioned flats in up north, Midlands, or what have you, you could still do SA maybe and get some
Yeah,
cash
yeah.
flow because you might not get great rent on it.
Exactly.
But if you do SA, and there's no 90-day rule up there as well. So if
Exactly.
you do it near some sort of a music venue or theatre or some football venue or something like that, you could make some good money that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or even certain parts for emergency housing or temporary accommodation or asylum seekers, to an extent. Yeah.
To an extent, yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. You've been amazingly inspiring. And I really look forward to what you got next on with all your development deals and everything else. So thank you so much, Jason. Really, really enjoyed talking to you today.
Yep, thank you for the invite. It's been fun.
Amazing. Please support, like, and follow me if you want to be in touch with all the property news in 2025 and beyond. Thank you.